From flickering campfires to the heart of sprawling capitals, humanity's journey began with a single fateful choice. At the dawn of history, a small band of foragers followed a reed-choked river, their world defined by the daily search for food. But a simple observation that seeds dropped near their camp would grow changed everything. Farming tethered families to the land and the rhythm of the seasons. Stored grain demanded walls, granaries, and the first rules. Along the great rivers of Mesopotamia and the Nile, towns and temples rose from the earth. Marks for counting evolved into writing and law, binding ever larger groups into the first states. Soon, the paths between these granaries widened into roads. Along the Indus, the Yellow River, and across the Americas, cities anchored themselves to the earth with plazas, markets, and aqueducts. But what turned strangers into partners across vast distances? It was trust, forged in the tools of civilization. A coin passed from palm to palm, a debt recorded by a scribe, an oath upheld by a judge. These instruments of cooperation linked neighbors into regions and regions into the first empires. As empires grew, so did the need for a deeper connection. A monk repeating verses by lamplight, a pilgrim kneeling before a sacred relic. Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam offered powerful stories, shared duties, and a sense of hope to communities bound by faith rather than kinship. These new architectures' meaning built charities to feed the poor and schools to train officials. Their pilgrim paths often followed the trade routes, pointing the way towards an era of continental connection. Caravan bells echoed over mountain passes, monsoon sails snapped along warm coasts. Across the Silk Roads and the Indian Ocean, goods, ideas, and diseases moved as one. Paper, the compass, and gunpowder arrived in the West, shifting the global balance of power forever.
These currents of exchange stabilized empires, but they also carried the seeds of pandemic and change. And as medieval mariners began testing the far horizons, two halves of the world, long separated, were about to collide. Steam hisses, pamphlets flutter. In a London coffeehouse, a printer wipes ink from his hands as revolutionary ideas slide warm from the press. Outside, under the glow of new gaslight, weavers and merchants debated the rights of kings and the authority of Scripture. These arguments crossed the Atlantic, fueling revolts and transforming curiosity into courage. Coal and steam compressed time, railways bound continents, and cities grew loud with the clamor of industry. But for every hand it multiplied, industry also multiplied hunger. New nations promised belonging, but demanded sacrifice in return. When machines made killing ruthlessly efficient, who decided which lives mattered? 2 world wars redrew the maps in blood, and a long Cold War standoff bred a new kind of fear. The boast of progress was silenced by the crime of genocide. In the wake of the carnage, a new world struggled to be born. The tide of empire receded, and global institutions sketched out common rules for a shared planet. Population surged as new seeds swelled harvests, and for the first time, radios, cables, and screens connected distant rooms in real time. This history matters now because the choices made then are embedded in the tools we build and the feeds we swipe today. From the code of our genomes to the code of our learning machines, we are still working within these ancient structures. The legacies of slavery and empire still trace the borders of our world, in our courts, on our streets, and in the storms gathering on the horizon. And just ahead, another threshold waits, asking what this long, complicated past will permit us to become.